Xiaomi launches satellite text. Global rollout starts. What if your smartphone could send text messages without any cellular towers? No coverage zones, no dead spots, no reliance on traditional networks, just pure satellite connectivity directly to your device. This isn't science fiction anymore, this is happening right now, and it's about to change everything we know about global communications. Xiaomi has just made a breakthrough that tech giants like Apple and Google have been struggling to perfect for years. But here's the twist. They're not just targeting premium users or emergency situations. They're going global, and they're doing it faster than anyone expected. The question isn't whether this technology works, it's already been tested. The real mystery is, what happens when billions of people suddenly gain the ability to communicate anywhere on Earth, regardless of infrastructure? Stick around, because what Xiaomi just announced could reshape the entire mobile industry and the geopolitical landscape that comes with it. Before we dive into Xiaomi's groundbreaking announcement, let's understand exactly what we're dealing with here. Satellite messaging isn't new. It's been around for decades, used primarily by military personnel, researchers, and extreme adventurers willing to pay thousands for specialized devices. But what makes Xiaomi's approach revolutionary is their ability to integrate this capability directly into consumer smartphones, specifically their new Mi 15 series, without requiring expensive additional hardware or subscription services that cost hundreds per year. This technology relies on a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites that can receive and relay text messages from compatible smartphones. Unlike traditional satellite phones that require bulky antennas and clear line of sight to space, Xiaomi's solution works through your phone's existing cellular antenna with minimal modifications. The implications are staggering. Imagine being able to send a text message from the top of Mount Everest, the middle of the Pacific Ocean, or during a natural disaster when all terrestrial networks are down. More importantly, imagine this capability being available to billions of people worldwide, not just the wealthy few. But here's where it gets interesting. Xiaomi isn't the first to attempt this. Apple introduced emergency SOS via satellite in 2022, followed by Google with its satellite messaging features. However, both companies have kept their services geographically limited, primarily to North America with slow expansion plans. Xiaomi is taking a different approach entirely. At Xiaomi's recent Mi 15 launch event, CEO Lei Jun made a statement that sent shockwaves through the tech industry. He announced that satellite text messaging would be available not just in China, but across multiple continents simultaneously, something no other company has attempted at this scale. But here's the crucial detail that most analysts missed. Xiaomi isn't building its own satellite constellation. Instead, they've partnered with existing satellite operators, including China's Beidou navigation satellite system and international providers, to create a seamless global network. This strategic approach allows Xiaomi to bypass the enormous costs and regulatory hurdles associated with launching and maintaining satellite infrastructure, but it also raises fascinating questions about international cooperation in space-based communications, an area traditionally dominated by government agencies and military organizations. The technical implementation is equally impressive. Xiaomi's engineers have developed proprietary algorithms that optimize power consumption and signal strength, allowing the feature to work reliably even in challenging environments. Early tests show successful message transmission rates of over 95% in various conditions, from dense urban canyons to remote wilderness areas. What's particularly noteworthy is the user experience design. Unlike Apple's system, which requires users to follow specific prompts and can take several minutes to send a message, Xiaomi's implementation is designed to be as seamless as regular texting. The phone automatically switches to satellite mode when cellular coverage is unavailable, with minimal user intervention required. But perhaps most intriguing is the pricing model. While satellite messaging services typically cost $10 to $20 per month, Xiaomi is offering the feature free for the first year to all Mi 15 users, with subsequent pricing expected to be significantly lower than existing alternatives. Let's examine what this means from a broader technological perspective. The integration of satellite communications into consumer smartphones represents a fundamental shift in how we think about connectivity. We're moving toward a world where the distinction between terrestrial and space-based networks becomes increasingly blurred. Xiaomi's approach also highlights an important trend in the global tech landscape. Rather than competing directly with established players like SpaceX's Starlink or Amazon's Project Kuiper, they're leveraging existing infrastructure while focusing on the end-user experience. This strategy could accelerate adoption significantly. The implications for emerging markets are particularly significant. In regions where cellular infrastructure is limited or unreliable, satellite messaging could provide a crucial communication lifeline. This aligns perfectly with Xiaomi's established market presence in countries like India, Southeast Asia and Latin America. But there's another layer to consider. The regulatory environment for satellite communications varies dramatically across countries. Some nations have strict controls on satellite-based messaging, particularly regarding encryption and content monitoring. Xiaomi's ability to navigate these complex regulatory landscapes will be crucial to their global rollout success. Security is another critical factor. Satellite messaging systems must balance user privacy with legitimate concerns about misuse for illegal activities. Xiaomi claims their system includes robust encryption and compliance features, but the real test will come when the service is deployed at scale across diverse regulatory environments. From a technical standpoint, the power consumption implications are significant. Satellite communication requires substantially more energy than traditional cellular messaging. Xiaomi's engineers have reportedly optimized their implementation to minimize battery drain, but users in remote areas may still need to manage their usage carefully. Here's where the story gets truly fascinating. Xiaomi's global rollout isn't following the typical pattern of starting in their home market and expanding outward. Instead, they're launching simultaneously across multiple regions, including parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa. Initial deployment zones include major metropolitan areas in over 20 countries, with plans to expand coverage based on user adoption and network performance. This aggressive expansion strategy suggests that Xiaomi has secured partnerships with satellite operators across multiple jurisdictions, no small feat given the fragmented nature of the global satellite communications industry. The company has also announced plans to work with local telecommunications providers to integrate satellite messaging with existing cellular networks. This hybrid approach could provide seamless handoff between terrestrial and satellite connectivity, creating a truly ubiquitous communication experience. What's particularly interesting is Xiaomi's focus on emerging markets. While Apple and Google have concentrated their satellite services in wealthy, developed nations, Xiaomi's targeting regions where traditional cellular coverage is patchy or expensive. This could democratize access to reliable communication in ways that have profound social and economic implications. The company has also hinted at future enhancements, including support for longer messages, group communications, and potentially even voice calls via satellite. These features would further blur the line between traditional cellular services and satellite-based alternatives, but perhaps most significantly, Xiaomi's global approach could pressure other smartphone manufacturers to accelerate their own satellite integration efforts. We may be witnessing the beginning of a new arms race in mobile communications technology. How does Xiaomi's satellite messaging compare to existing solutions in the market? The answer reveals some surprising advantages and potential vulnerabilities. Apple's emergency SOS via satellite, launched in 2022, was the first major consumer implementation. However, it's limited to emergency communications and requires users to follow specific protocols. Messages are reviewed by human operators before being sent, creating potential delays and privacy concerns. Google's approach, introduced through Android's satellite messaging features, offers more flexibility but remains geographically constrained. Both Apple and Google systems also require dedicated hardware modifications that increase device costs. Xiaomi's implementation appears to offer several key advantages. First, the seamless integration with existing phone hardware reduces costs and complexity. Second, the broader message format allows for more flexible communication beyond emergency situations. Third, the global rollout strategy suggests more comprehensive satellite coverage partnerships. However, Xiaomi faces significant challenges. The company's reputation for aggressive pricing strategies may raise questions about the long-term sustainability of their free service model. Additionally, their relative lack of experience in satellite communications compared to established players like Apple and Google could become apparent as the service scales. Regulatory approval represents another major hurdle. Different countries have varying requirements for satellite-based communications, particularly regarding encryption, content monitoring, and emergency services integration. Xiaomi's ability to navigate this complex landscape will be crucial to their success. Perhaps most importantly, the technical reliability of the service remains to be proven at scale. Early demonstrations and limited testing are one thing, but maintaining consistent performance across millions of users in diverse environments is an entirely different challenge. Now here's the revelation that changes everything about how we should view Xiaomi's satellite messaging launch. This isn't just about consumer convenience or emergency communications. Xiaomi is positioning itself as a key player in what could become the next major battleground in global telecommunications. The company has quietly secured partnerships with satellite operators across multiple continents, creating a network that could potentially bypass traditional telecommunications infrastructure entirely. This has profound implications for countries looking to reduce their dependence on Western-controlled communication networks. More significantly, Xiaomi's approach could accelerate the development of a truly global communication standard that operates independently of terrestrial networks. This could be particularly appealing to nations seeking to maintain communication sovereignty while providing modern connectivity to their citizens. The timing of this launch is also crucial. As geopolitical tensions continue to reshape global technology markets, having a reliable, independent communication channel becomes increasingly valuable. Xiaomi's satellite messaging could provide a critical backup system for both consumers and businesses. But here's the most intriguing aspect. Xiaomi's system is designed to be interoperable with multiple satellite constellations, not just their partners' networks. This means that as new satellite systems come online, Xiaomi devices could automatically take advantage of improved coverage and capabilities without requiring hardware upgrades. This forward-thinking approach positions Xiaomi not just as a smartphone manufacturer, but as a potential leader in the next generation of global communication infrastructure. The ripple effects of Xiaomi's satellite messaging launch extend far beyond the smartphone industry. This technology could fundamentally alter how we think about digital connectivity, emergency response, and even international relations. For disaster response organizations, having billions of potential communication nodes distributed globally could revolutionize emergency coordination. Instead of relying on specialized equipment and trained personnel, rescue teams could leverage the smartphones people already carry to coordinate rescue efforts and locate survivors. The implications for remote work and exploration are equally significant. Scientists, researchers, and professionals working in remote locations could maintain reliable communication without depending on expensive satellite phones or unreliable terrestrial networks. But perhaps most importantly, this technology could help bridge the digital divide that has persisted despite decades of telecommunications development. In regions where building cellular infrastructure is economically or geographically challenging, satellite messaging could provide a cost-effective alternative that brings billions more people into the global communication network. The environmental implications are also worth considering. By reducing the need for extensive terrestrial infrastructure, satellite-based communication could minimize the environmental impact of expanding global connectivity. However, this technology also raises important questions about digital surveillance, content control, and the balance between communication freedom and security. As more people gain access to independent communication channels, governments and regulatory bodies will need to adapt their approaches to digital governance. The engineering achievement behind Xiaomi's satellite messaging implementation deserves special attention. Integrating reliable satellite communication into consumer smartphones required solving several complex technical challenges that have stumped engineers for years. Power consumption was perhaps the biggest hurdle. Traditional satellite communication requires significant energy to transmit signals to low Earth orbit satellites. Xiaomi's engineers developed proprietary signal processing algorithms that optimize transmission power while maintaining reliable connectivity. The antenna design also required innovation. Most satellite phones use specialized antennas that are incompatible with sleek smartphone form factors. Xiaomi's solution leverages existing cellular antenna hardware with minimal modifications, making the technology accessible without compromising device design. Signal processing represents another breakthrough. The system must filter out interference from terrestrial networks while maintaining sensitivity to weak satellite signals. Xiaomi's implementation includes adaptive algorithms that automatically adjust to changing environmental conditions. Perhaps most impressively, the system achieves message transmission times of under 30 seconds in most conditions, significantly faster than competing solutions. This speed advantage could be crucial in emergency situations where every second counts. The user interface design also merits attention. Rather than requiring users to learn complex new procedures, Xiaomi's system integrates seamlessly with existing messaging applications. Users simply type their message as usual, and the system automatically determines the best transmission method. The market implications of Xiaomi's satellite messaging launch are already beginning to manifest. Competitors are scrambling to accelerate their own satellite integration efforts, while satellite operators are racing to expand their coverage to meet anticipated demand. Apple and Google are reportedly fast-tracking their satellite communication projects, with expanded geographic coverage and enhanced features expected in upcoming device releases. This competitive pressure could accelerate innovation across the entire industry. For satellite operators, Xiaomi's entry represents a massive new revenue opportunity. Instead of relying solely on premium customers willing to pay hundreds for specialized equipment, they can now target the billions of smartphone users worldwide. Telecommunications providers are also taking notice. The prospect of consumers bypassing traditional cellular networks for satellite communication could disrupt established business models and force carriers to reconsider their pricing and service strategies. The impact on emerging markets could be particularly significant. In regions where cellular coverage is limited or expensive, satellite messaging could provide a more cost-effective communication solution. This could accelerate smartphone adoption and digital transformation in these markets. Investors are also paying attention. Companies involved in satellite communications, smartphone manufacturing, and related technologies have seen increased interest following Xiaomi's announcement. This could lead to additional investment in space-based communication infrastructure. But perhaps most importantly, consumers now have a genuine alternative to traditional cellular networks. This could fundamentally change how people think about mobile communication and create new expectations for reliability and coverage. One of the most complex aspects of Xiaomi's satellite messaging rollout involves navigating the fragmented global regulatory landscape for satellite communications. Different countries have vastly different requirements and restrictions for this technology. Some nations require all satellite communications to pass through government monitoring systems, raising privacy concerns for users. Others have strict licensing requirements that could delay or prevent service availability in certain regions. Emergency services integration presents another regulatory challenge. Many countries require satellite messaging services to automatically report user locations to emergency responders during emergency communications. Implementing these requirements while maintaining user privacy is a delicate balance. International coordination also becomes crucial. Satellite signals don't respect national boundaries, so cross-border communication capabilities require cooperation between multiple regulatory bodies. Xiaomi's ability to facilitate this coordination could prove crucial to their global expansion. The encryption standards used by the system must also comply with varying national requirements. Some countries restrict the strength of encryption that can be used in consumer devices, potentially compromising user security. Content monitoring represents another regulatory concern. Governments may require the ability to monitor or restrict certain types of satellite communications, particularly those that could be used for illegal activities or political dissent. Xiaomi's approach to these challenges will likely influence how other companies navigate similar regulatory environments. Their success or failure in meeting diverse regulatory requirements could set precedents for the entire industry. Xiaomi's satellite messaging launch represents more than just a new smartphone feature. It's a glimpse into the future of global communications. By making satellite connectivity accessible to billions of consumers, they're democratizing access to reliable communication in ways that could reshape entire industries. The implications extend far beyond consumer convenience. This technology has the potential to improve emergency response, accelerate economic development in underserved regions, and provide new tools for scientific research and exploration. But with these opportunities come significant challenges. Regulatory compliance, technical reliability, and the complex geopolitical implications of independent communication networks will all need to be carefully managed as this technology scales. What's clear is that we're witnessing a fundamental shift in how we think about connectivity. The distinction between terrestrial and space-based networks is blurring, and companies that can successfully navigate this transition will be well positioned for the future. Whether Xiaomi's ambitious global rollout succeeds remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The age of ubiquitous satellite communication has begun, and it promises to change our world in ways we're only beginning to understand. If you found this deep dive into Xiaomi's satellite messaging technology fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Revo now for more cutting-edge tech analysis. What do you think about the future of satellite-based communication? Will this technology live up to its promise? Or are there hidden challenges that could limit its impact? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know what tech topics you'd like us to explore next. The revolution in global communications is just beginning, and you're watching it unfold in real time. This is Revo Now, decoding tomorrow's hidden tech landscape today.
Subscribe to Revo Now and join our vibrant community of forward thinkers, change makers, and revolutionaries.